friends. Welcome to this special session of BharatGen Models, a story of vision and technical execution. Today's session marks the introduction of the BharatGen family of sovereign, multilingual AI models and deployment platforms built for India and ready for global impact. It is my honor to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh, Hon'ble Minister Jitendra Singh. I would request Sir to please kindly come up on stage and deliver the keynote session. We are privileged to have with you, sir, and I kindly request you to come up on stage. So I also would like to take the opportunity to invite the other keynote dignitaries, Professor Dr. Dr. Chris Gopalakrishnan, Shri S. Krishnan, Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary of DST, to also come up on stage along with Honorable Minister. I request Professor Ganesh, PI BharatGen IIT Bombay, and Rishi Bal, CEO of BharatGen, to kindly come up on stage and felicitate our dignitaries. I would now request Rishi Bal to kindly facilitate Ajay Sood, Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India. Next, I would request Rishi to kindly felicitate Dr. Chris Gopalakrishnan, Chairman, MGB, NM-ICPS, and Department of Science and Technology. So it's Professor Ravi who is felicitating Dr. Chris. Next, I would kindly request Jyotsna and Amolji from our team to kindly felicitate Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary of Department of Science and Technology. Thank you. So to set the context, I invite Sri Rishi Bal, CEO of BharatGen, to present an overview of the BharatGen ecosystem, the vision, scope, and the national mission. Rishi, may I request you to kindly come?
A huge welcome to all of you. Thank you for coming out here. Honorable Minister Jitendra Singh ji, respected PSA Ajay Sood ji, Dr. Chris Gopalakrishnan, Secretary Karandikar. We really appreciate you coming here and joining us on a very important occasion here for BharatGen. For us, BharatGen is not just a project or an initiative. It is a mission for India. It is a mission for AI independence, for AI leadership. We look at this as an opportunity for India to leapfrog and for all of us here to participate in this activity of moving India forward. This is a mission that we are on all on together, and we really thank you for all the support that we have had throughout this journey so far. We hope that with the work that we do, we will accelerate our move towards an Atmanirbhar Bharat. And today we would like to share with you some of the work that we have done and the progress that we have made as a team. So while we pull up our launch video, I would also request for all the people from the BharatGen team to come stand up here in the front and celebrate this launch while this video plays. Can you please play the launch video?
BharatGen, India's sovereign AI ecosystem, rooted in our languages, our data, our knowledge systems, and our ethos. Early BharatGen releases showed the potential of sovereign AI. Powering this AI ecosystem is Bharat Data Sagar, a vast initiative unifying India's data and knowledge from public and private sources. And now, BharatGen marks a significant new milestone. Introducing Param 2, 17 billion parameter foundational model, trained on 22 trillion tokens of diverse data in 22 Indian languages, skilled in code, mathematics, logical reasoning, and various domains. Engineered for scale, security, and real-world complexity. Introducing Shrutam 2, India's first LLM-based multilingual speech recognition model.
திட்டத்திற்கு விண்வெளி அனுபவம் பெறுவதற்காக
Robust to noise, supports 12 Indian languages. And Suktam 2, our text-to-speech model suite.
ভারতীয় ভাষা ছাড়া ডিজিটাল দুনিয়ায় সবাইকে সত্যিকারের অংশীদার করা সম্ভব নয়।
Together, they enable natural interaction across 12 languages. AI that listens to
माझी पॉलिसी कधी मॅच्युअर होणार
and speaks India's voices.
तुमची पॉलिसी 26 डिसेंबर 2040 रोजी मॅच्युअर होईल.
To see the world through an Indian lens, Patram, our 7 billion parameter vision language model, trained on 40 million diverse Indian documents. It transforms paper into intelligence, powering faster, smarter decisions. From agriculture to governance,
योगश्चित्तवृत्तिनिरोधः,
education to finance, law to public services. Apni bhasha mein, AI for every sector, for every citizen, for a nation on the rise. Built by India's leading academic institutions with the support of the Government of India. India built, future ready, globally relevant. Join us to unlock solutions for your challenges, and let's build for a Viksit Bharat together. BharatGen, sovereign AI for 1.4 billion voices.
What a proud moment. All this is possible only because the team has worked very coherently with government as a whole of nation approach across different sectors, line ministries. You can see data is our first pillar. And because of these partnerships, it's not just seeking data, but also educating people, vendors, in how to get data sanity, how to get provenance in a data collection process. And this has resulted in our 17 billion parameter mixture of expert as, I would say, the first milestone in this large journey. And you can see from pre-training stage 1 to pre-training stage 2, what we tried doing was maintain a lot of world knowledge in the first stages and then move on subsequently to a lot of focus on Indian languages and math in the second stage, which is pre-training stage 2. Overall, 22 trillion tokens, right? That's the data part. And then the second pillar, which is recipes. how are these models built? Because when you have access to the recipes, you can actually create lots of variants of dishes, right? And for example, this is our Param 2, which was brought up in the video. Now, the languages supported are all the 22 scheduled languages. Along with that, we've also ensured that the model is efficient. You can see, because of mixture expert, we have 17 billion parameters for the deep knowledge, but 2.4 billion active parameters for efficiency in terms of tokens, in terms of inference. And it's also culturally grounded. Just in terms of architectural choices, because we are education institutes also, we do research in our DNA. As a result, the choice has been such that we have the shared expert, 2 shared experts, which are actually able to get both the domain knowledge and the code mixing, and the mixture of experts, which are also able to cater to different languages. And in fact, the 64 mixture components were also chosen in order to cater to the languages very judiciously. Here's a small sample. So, Krishnan ji, our secretary MeitY, has also come. Request him to take the seat. So you can see the illustration across multiple languages in terms of code, in terms of reasoning, in terms of also math, right? So these are examples. This is mathematics in Tamil. These models are made available on Hugging Face as well as on AI Kosh. Here's an illustration in Tamil in mathematics. And you can see a lot of code mixing. We can handle English and math, right, with all the reasoning part as well in mathematics. This is pure reasoning in Gujarati being brought out. So this is a little bit of preview on what our models hold. And as I said, the choice of experts, for example, 64 experts has been done in such a way that we are able to do routing in a way that is faithful to the languages, the 22 Indian languages and their similarities. Now, talking of similarities, we also have a version coming up with 128K tokens, which is basically to handle very long context. Our performances, right? So performances, you can see benchmarks on English as well as on Indian languages. We are right there at the top. So this is very important for us. We don't want to just do sovereign, but we want to do sovereign in a way that's also cutting edge. And we're very proud of the team, which actually went through multiple iterations, multiple options to ensure that we have the best choice. And as I said, there's a lot more coming up. A lot more coming up because of also the research and the fact that we're going to do extensive reinforcement learning on these models. Now, the research also helps me reinforce the second point, which is the fact that we have done model improvisations even in text-to-speech. So it's a Suktam, which is text-to-speech model suite. Here you can see an illustration. The speech generation in Gujarati. So this is completely speaker conditioned. Any speaker could actually come and provide a small snippet. For some reason, the audio isn't coming up. So this is speaker conditioned text-to-speech. Now, there's some of the very important aspects in this model architecture choice. We had to do away with dependence on what we call the duration prediction. This we did by incorporating into the model architecture a lot of prosodic features. There's a speech-related, energy, pitch, and duration is one of those prosodic features. And in addition, we also leverage the phonetic similarity across Indian languages. Here you can see that, etc. You can see there's a lot of similar phonemes. And people who learn one language can easily leverage their understanding to learn another language in the Indian context. And this has also been leveraged by our models, right? This is a text-to-speech models suite where you can do model cloning, as I said, speaker-conditioned output using this common label set. And all these speakers here can be dynamically provisioned for, right? This is not that you need to fine-tune for every new speaker. This is an example in Bengali. I hope the audio comes through. For some reason. Volume. Okay, so very high fidelity, extremely high fidelity text-to-speech models. Now I'll move to the next, the last part for the speech for today. These are examples of multiple other Indian languages. We'll make them available for you to test out. Now, the Shrutam is a speech-to-text model suite. It's in Tamil. A lot of background noise. And the reason we're able to get high fidelity output is because this is LLM enabled, right? The decoder here is basically coming from our large language model. So this is the architecture we adopted, and it's published. All of these works are published in different fora. The different aspects are published. So you can see there's a speech encoder, which actually projects to a text decoder at the top through a mixture of experts. And this mixture actually, again, caters to different languages. Just as a very interesting preview into how the affiliations of experts, which are basically the columns, have with the different tasks, which are the rows, right? If you see the metrics at the top left corner, it is Hindi. The top right is Marathi. The lighter the color, the more the affiliation of an expert to a task. And you can see these two matrices look exactly the same. So which means these similarities are being exploited in our model. This is how important it is to bring the research ecosystem and mindset. This work is, of course, published at ICASP. I'll invite Professor Ravi Kiran to take us to the document foundational model.
So, yeah, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but being able to make sense of pictures is worth much, much more. So we have here Patram, which is India's first document vision language model. So given documents and a query, it can respond about those documents. So what's new, you might ask. Next slide, please. And if you look at our performance, we are competitive on a number of benchmarks. And we found that existing benchmarks were insufficient, so therefore we created our own. And our model is competitive and outperforms some of the other known models such as DeepSeek VL2 and Qwen. One of the important things here is contextual understanding, and one of the things we realized is that Indian English and Indian terminology is different from other English that we see in Western models. So when asked a question about IFSC code, other models figure out that this question is about a number, but our model is able to figure out what is the right answer for this very Indian document. Another important capability is grounded document understanding, wherein you not only want to give an answer to a question, but to give confidence to the end users, medical practitioners, people in BFSI sector. You want to trace the reasoning that led to the answer. So Patram enables grounded document understanding. It is common experience that documents also refer to other documents. For example, in government circulars, they'll refer to other government circulars. So therefore, it is important to have systems which link them without the user explicitly having to do so and open 100 tabs. So therefore, we have DocBoth, which is our GenAI suite for Indic document intelligence. It enables documents to be connected and search to be enabled across document corpora. Another interesting thing which emerged out of our choice of data curation is what I call out-of-syllabus generalization. So though Patram is designed for documents, we found that it could be put to other use cases. So for example, this use case from water and sanitation asked whether a particular picture is of a composed pit. And the model was able to answer that it is not, and it was able to extract the correct lat long for provenance. Thank you.
I think we are running slightly behind the schedule, so I'll be rushing up through my slides. But what we wanted to actually convey through the next segment is that we have now bouquet of models in every application potential domain. We have text models, speech models, and with that, we are now ready for deployment. That's the overall messaging that we wanted to have. We have already started partnerships with governance, healthcare, education, fintech, and for cultural preservations. I just wanted to quickly run through the glimpses of the work that we are doing with these partnerships. I may not run through the slides in detail.
India holds one of the world's largest collections of manuscript knowledge. this knowledge is becoming digitally accessible. The journey begins with scanning source manuscripts. Scanned pages are processed using Pandulipi Samshodhak, an OCR refinement system. Proves recognition accuracy through 4 intelligent capabilities. Gyan Samvad enables users to converse directly with manuscript knowledge. Ask questions using text or voice.
How can the mind be effectively calmed?
The mind can be effectively calmed by practicing Anulam Vilam alternate nostril breathing. To do this,
Uchcharanika. Users listen,
Yogaschitta vritti nirodha,
repeat, and record their chanting.
Yogaschitta vritti nirodha.
The system compares speech with expected pronunciation. Color-coded analysis shows exactly where improvement is needed. Learning modes support progression. Learn, practice, test. From preservation to interaction to learning, the journey continues.
So this is the work that we are doing with Ministry of Culture, and quickly we'll go through the governance bit.
Managing thousands of government resolutions, notices, and circulars is a massive challenge for any department. Introducing an indigenous AI framework designed to streamline administrative search and decision-making. With the help of AI, the system instantly cross-references decades of records to find every relevant document. It grounds every answer in verified data, ensuring total legal accuracy. It helps every citizen understand government rules in the language they know. Implementing for the Government of Maharashtra. Documenting patient history is still manual, time-consuming, stealing time from care. Our BharatGen model, tuned for medical words and Indian accents, captures Hinglish, code switching, and auto-summarizes the visit. Automated EMR mapping. No more typing, just treating. Also, you can scan your medical report. BharatGen AI gives instant preliminary insights and shares it with your doctor. BharatGen, revitalizing healthcare through AI.
There are a couple of more, but I think in the interest of time, we'll skip those. I just wanted to end with this last slide, where we are ready for deployments, and it is not only the models that we are using, we also use state-of-the-art other components to bring the orchestration layer to life. And bring your use case, let's co-create. That's going to be the next phase we are getting it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amol, for that session. So now we move to the leadership addresses. May I invite Dr. Chris Gopalakrishnan, Chairman, Mission Governing Board, NM-ICPS DST, to kindly share his remarks.
First of all, I want to congratulate the entire BharatGen team for leveraging the opportunity, leveraging the funding that's provided by the National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical Systems under DST. And of course, subsequent funding from other sources. They have actually taken this forward. What is impressive to me is that they have addressed a issue that exists with many of the English-based large language models. Most language models are next word predictor trained primarily on English test. They lack grounded reality of human cognition, because human cognition is we hear, of course, we touch, we act, it's multimodal, multilingual. And they're truly addressing the need of a multilingual, multimodal LLM. So let me congratulate them. I also want to thank Dr. Jitendra Singh, under whose vision the whole program under DST really took off. And and this is one of the many hubs that were set up. I want to thank Professor Ajay Sood, the Principal Scientific Advisor, Dr. Abhay Karandikar, and Krishnan from MeitY. All have come together to do this. I also want to add one more pillar to this, and I hope this will also get support from the ministry and all the other people here, because I also believe that we have a hardware crisis, because the current AI is hitting an energy wall. We need to look at brain-inspired, a green neuromorphic computing platform, and I hope that we will be able to launch this mission. So thank you all for participating here and encouraging all of us actually and the BharatGen team. It clearly shows that we can create world-class solutions, world-class language models from here in India. We would like to create a world-class hardware platform also from India. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chris, for your address. May I now request Shri S. Krishnan, Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, to address the gathering.
Hon'ble Minister of State for Science and Technology, the Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India, Dr. Ajay Sood, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, Professor Abhay Karandikar, and Mr. Chris Gopalakrishnan, founder of Infosys, co-founder of Infosys, ladies and gentlemen. I think today is a significant event that we are talking about sovereign models. Under the IndiaAI Mission, one of the key issues which came up, and we have one vertical which is devoted to AI models and creating AI models alongside, of course, the compute vertical and the database, data platform vertical. The three which form the basis of infrastructure, the infrastructure base for creating AI applications, which is what we are attempting to do ultimately. There was a debate initially whether we should actually invest in creating models of our own, sovereign models of our own, or whether we should actually use open source models which have been created elsewhere in the world, because creating a model of our own was felt to be expensive and felt to be time consuming and possibly not delivering results quickly. So finally, we did, after some discussion and debate, we did go ahead with creating our own models for 2 or 3 important reasons. First and foremost is to address the issue of bias, making sure that we have models which are based primarily on Indian data and data which is created in multiplicity of Indian languages. That is very critical, and unfortunately, this kind of data is not entirely represented in the internet, which is where most models scrape most of the data they need for creation. And therefore, the question of them being truthful or them being unbiased regarding Indian data is always in doubt. So in order to have a model which truly represented India's cultural and linguistic diversity and represented adequately Indian data, it was important and critical to have a model of our own. And the second main reason is that when you're doing it with multiple languages, India is a country eventually where AI is going to be, to a significant extent, voice first. The way that people would access AI and the way that they would actually sort of relate to AI would happen based on how they are able to interact with the system. And many people, and since access to the internet in India is predominantly through mobile instruments, mobile devices, the possibility that most people would actually access this and to truly make AI accessible, it was important to have voice-first models, and voice-first models will necessarily have to be models which come out of India. And in some ways, what the Ministry of Electronics did earlier with the Bhashini experiment this was a logical progression of that, and we needed to work much more on this space. And the last, of course, is sovereignty is a very important issue. We need to have the models where nobody else had the kill switch, and it was always with us. And that is something a country the size of India, the country with the kind of resources that it has, needs to necessarily have control over the way the model functions. So in that sense, I think it was very important that sovereign models needed to be created, and therefore under the IndiaAI mission, under a committee which is represented on this stage by at least 3 of the 4 members, chaired by the Principal Scientific Advisor with the Secretary DST, Secretary Higher Education, and Secretary MeitY as members, finally sort of has so far picked, and it's not yet a done deal, there are more models which are in the line, but so far picked 12 models, and which were also showcased. The Honorable Prime Minister has met with all the innovators and institutions who are working on these models. India's goal is not necessarily to build large language models. There are large language models. What BharatGen is building, what Sarvam is building, all of those are large language models. In addition, there are small language models, there are other foundational models, vision models, quantitative models, and otherwise. Fundamentally, because what we are looking to do with these models, and that again is very important, is not to necessarily create artificial general intelligence or super intelligence, but actually create things which are of use. Whether it is in the nature of people using it as a voice-first model, or whether it is to advance something in a selected area of science, whether it is to advance something in a selected area of actual human application, whether it is agriculture, manufacturing, or otherwise. It's for these reasons that in the IndiaAI mission, a critical thing is to fund these models. And one of the main models, if at all, if I were to describe one of them as India's sovereign model, which is entirely, literally under government control or public control, it is BharatGen, which is being done by IIT Madras and Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan. The reason I say this is that the initial funding of about almost 300 crores came from DST through their cyber-physical systems, followed by a further almost 1,000 crore funding from the IndiaAI mission to support that. So that is a format in which this has been taken forward, almost entirely public funded, unlike many of the others where there is a combination of public and private funding. And that is again the beauty and the flexibility of the IndiaAI mission model, that we have the flexibility to adopt different funding mechanisms in order to support innovation in this critical space. And that is what we are attempting to do. So it's a matter of great pride to us that we had an occasion to showcase the kind of work that BharatGen has done and the other foundational models which have been funded by the IndiaAI mission. They were showcased before the Honorable Prime Minister yesterday as well in the expo. He spent considerable time understanding how exactly they worked and what they did, particularly Indian languages. And it's a matter of pride that we are able to do this, and it's also a matter of pride that we are able to showcase this in this AI Impact Summit, because fundamentally what we are talking about today is democratization of AI, inclusive AI, and making sure that more people are able to access it. And through our models, we are achieving precisely that objective, and also through the way this event has been held. And I have personally been part of previous summits which have been held elsewhere in the world. Those are mostly closed events where leaders of countries, some academics, some CEOs get together and discuss, and then the event closes. There is nothing which is held on this scale with this kind of public participation and this kind of enthusiasm. So I would just like to close by requesting all of you to at least spend a little time in the AI Expo. There are nearly 1,000 startups there who are showcasing what they're doing. Hundreds of companies which have, there are nearly 400 stalls there, and wonderful technology having been showcased there. The idea is to throw it open to all of you. The idea is to capture the energy that India brings to any enterprise of this nature. And please do go and take a look at it. And once again, thank you all for joining us here in the IndiaAI Impact Summit. Thank you.
Guri, IIT Bombay, on stage to exchange the MOU between IIT Bombay Heritage Foundation, and BharatGen, along with Professor Ganesh, Rishibal, and Professor Anurag Mehral from IIT Bombay Heritage Foundation.
a sentence. We've been extremely grateful to the Heritage Foundation in the US because several of our alumni have been able to contribute and make BharatGen a truly international effort. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the keynote moment of this session. It is my honor to invite our chief guest, Hon'ble Minister of State for Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, to deliver the keynote address. Sir, we are privileged to have you with us. May I request you to kindly address the audience.
I thought we would have something to hear from the principal scientific advisor, but nevertheless, if we can be brief, then we can give an opportunity to some of the young stakeholders over here to exchange notes with some of those sitting on the dais. So, good afternoon, and sitting amongst us, the principal scientific advisor and a scientist in his own right, Professor Ajay Sood, Dr. Chris, my colleague in the Department of Science and Technology, Professor Abhay. At the outset, I have to congratulate Ganesh and the entire team because I have watched them since the day this concept was conceived, and I have been very keenly following it up and in fact giving them the liberty to call me at any hour of the day or night just to keep me updated. And because it was, in fact, a learning experience for all of us, like it is. I think one of the basic mantras of artificial intelligence is that you have to be a good learner, and if you are not one, then you have to learn to be a learner. Otherwise, the artificial intelligence is likely to take the toll of your intelligence. And the other mantra is to be intelligent enough to handle artificial intelligence. So I think, because many researchers are also now dwelling on this subject, but from my reading of the various postulations, these are the two brief mantras that I drew. And therefore, I think not only learn, but as we move on, we have to try to also learn fast, because what we think about learning for tomorrow becomes obsolete by the time tomorrow happens. But having said that, I think that artificial intelligence is now one new addition to our working armament, which cannot be kept away. It's no longer an option. It's going to be an essential component in every sphere of life, regardless of what some of the cynics may say, because we've already had the experience about 20 years back or 15 years back when the mobiles were introduced in this city of Delhi. We would come across some of the maybe better knowing persons who would detest it, saying, "Ye kya pakad ke chalte rehte ho?" And now I find them glued on more than others. Because once you realize, because you can't, it's just that how best optimally you use it in a positive manner. And if we try to evade it, then it is at the risk of being left behind. And I'm glad that under Prime Minister Modi, we had at least one advantage, that we have that enabling milieu, which encourages us and gives us the energy to move on at the same pace as the rest of the world. So we are no longer behind by maybe half a decade or even more than that, because, for example, television happened in the US in 1950s. The most talked about US election was that of 1960, where Richard Nixon turned the tables of John Kennedy simply through a debate on a television, whereas we in India got to see the first Chitrar in this capital city of Delhi only in 1970. But it's no longer so. Under this government, Prime Minister has been very forthcoming to receive out-of-box suggestions. And once he's convinced, he's also very supportive. We are among the first to have launched the biotechnology policy called the BioE3, and the AI is also being very extensively in use in that. Now, as far as this BharatGen is concerned, now I think, as Ganesh already told you, PM has already launched 3 of the components last evening. They have completed 22 languages in text and otherwise. The speech part including, is 15. So of course, they are in the process of doing that too. But I don't wish, and of course, as he said, they are into various domains, the Ayurvedic, Agri, Indian legal system, and also useful in the healthcare or educational governance. So without being repetitive about what has already been said, I think one of the features of this is that this is one of the best examples of whole of science plus whole of government plus whole of nation. So any success story being written in the years to come will have this kind of model of working. You cannot work in silos. If you do so, you are in a self-deceptive mode. You might draw the satisfaction of not carrying anybody along, but you would be left behind. So this is an exercise which was carried out by a consortium, which I wish to share with this audience because that's not been talked about much. And of course, IIT Mumbai, which is of course IIT Bombay where Ganesh is placed, was coordinating. And then you had 6 other, the IIT Hyderabad, IIT Madras, IIT Kanpur, IIT Mandi, IIT Indore, likewise. Plus you had 2 or 3 ministries. You had the Ministry of MeitY, the secretary just now left. You have the Ministry of Science and Technology, so which makes it whole of science plus whole of government. And of course, when you are collecting data from the common citizens, it also becomes whole of nation. So you can see this also will, as we go on into these newer domains and newer realms of AI, we'll also have to change our mindset and also change our approach towards how we work. It's no longer, sitting in an isolated, dingy lab and doing something like that, as Francis Bacon once wrote that the greatest harm to the cause of literature is done by the teachers of literature who make their students sit in dingy classrooms and ask them to narrate Shakespeare to the walls around. It's no longer going to work. So that's true to every sphere of life, including. So this is one also aspect which we have proved. The other part is even the funding was done jointly by the National Mission of Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical Systems on the one hand, which is affiliated to the Ministry of MeitY, and the National and the IndiaAI Mission. So the funding is joined, the knowledge partnering is joined, the working is joined. And out of, the NM-ICPS, the other mission, which is also part of it, has 25 technology innovation hubs spread across the country, which are of course mandated in AI, ML, robotics, cybersecurity. So you can see it's virtually the entire, it's been a pan-India initiative. The other part is that without being self-adulatory, this is certainly not, as Krishna rightly handled, the first of its kind. Large language models are known across the world, known also in India. But what is distinct is that this is a government-owned sovereign model. So that is the distinguished feature. It will not be, because being students of science, we've been taught to speak with evidence. So it will not be fair if I say that we are the first ones. No, we are not. But we are. And that is something very special because governments usually are given to work in status quo and then to try their hand when a number of success stories have already been written. Here is a government which is ready to come forward, even in the formative stages of a new phenomena. So this is a government-owned sovereign model. There are other private groups also working in the private sector, working on these models, on digital health, on the digital case histories. And in the times to come, we would also have to integrate. Neither they can work in isolation nor do we. So we have to be prepared for that. And the other part is that officially we have 22 languages, because I'm trying to say all those things which are possibly not, in the written scripts of the session. 22 languages which Ganesh shows it now. But India is a heterogeneous country. It's heterogeneous in every way. Our lifestyle is heterogeneous, our linguistic heterogeneity, our food heterogeneity. So we do not necessarily speak 22 languages. Now science does not go by the constitution. It does not know what is 8th schedule. So 22 languages belong to 8th schedule, but they do not belong to science. And when we are collecting data, we have to collect the data of those languages which are spoken widely. Now, for example, when I'm using it in the health sector, because I have a small experience, because I was possibly among the first members of parliament who's been running this mobile tele-clinic in our constituency for the last 5-6 years. We go to the remotest areas. You come across natives, villagers, who speak a language which is none of these 22. In UP itself, you have Bhojpuri, you have Khadi, and one is quite different from the other. In some of these states, you have just 2 official languages, but the spoken language in a particular belt is quite different. So we will have to enlarge the data. And many of the private groups are already into it because they have a stake. There's a business stake in that. For example, if I'm putting up a digital health apparatus in a place which doesn't cater to it, then what do I do? And in that lies a cue for us also in the BharatGen, that we will have to keep on expanding. We will not have to confine ourselves by the barriers of 8th schedule, because we are now catering to a larger population. Secondly, we will, as I said, now this government luckily is also very open to private participation. And I'm glad that BharatGen is already being strengthened by deep collaboration with the industry. But this government is also very enabling. Like, for example, in November last, Prime Minister announced the RDI fund, the Research Development Innovation Fund, 20 lakh crore. I think one of the first initiatives of any kind by any government, where government is funding the industry. And I think the sentiment behind that is that even the private sector was not prepared for this. For years and years together, they had got used, they got conditioned that, look here, government functions in these frameworks, and so we are into manufacturing. They never knew that suddenly there'll be a prime minister like Prime Minister Modi, and the government will suddenly open up. Now even the nuclear sector is open up, which nobody even demanded, nobody even imagined till about a few months back. And therefore, even the private sector is not ready to invest in that. So in order to give them an initial boost and to accelerate them, to get out of that inertia and to make an initiative so that in the longer run, they are on their own and become equal partners with the government. That is the sentiment. Why I'm saying so is that ever since Prime Minister announced this, we are receiving dozens of calls every day. कि साहब सुना 20 लाख करोड़ का कुछ है, कैसे अप्लाई करना? So because their mindset is there कि एक नया citizen cooperative bank खुल गया है, अब कैसे पैसे उसे? So there's a sentiment behind that. So you have to qualify to T4 level, and of course, whether it's BharatGen, the other health startups, it's not necessarily startup. And if it is startup or if it's the other, go be the ecosystem is very big. This is one component of that ecosystem. Now, if the AI is concerned with the deep tech, we have deep tech startup initiatives also. Like only 3 days back, when the Prime Minister moved into the new PMO in the Tirth, in the Seva Tirth, one of the first decisions approved by him was to launch a 10,000 crore deep tech startup fund, which would be for those who are early initiatives. Again, because why there is a catch, the government usually doesn't take the risk of investing very heavily in a deep tech startup. And even in CSIR, we had a category of fund for the deep tech of startups, where we had laid down a condition that as if it is a deep tech startup, they'll have to sustain themselves for at least 3 years to qualify to apply for that fund. Only last week, we made an announcement doing away with that. So you can understand the government is ready to go as far as possible. Then we have the Anusandhan National Research Foundation, which is almost 60% resource-wide. So what I'm trying to say in brief is that change of mindset is very important on both sides, the private sector, the public sector, the stakeholders. And then we have the philanthropists like Dr. Chris. He is not ready to listen to my compliment, but nevertheless, I'll tell him later. So that is like a good philanthropist. The hand should not know what is donated. I was appreciating, I said, we have good philanthropists like Dr. Chris. When you didn't listen, I said, that's like a good philanthropist. You don't know what you've done. So, and I'm glad that now we have even some of the diaspora living abroad coming forward to become a party of to this. And I think I'll not take long, because I wish that few 5-10 minutes that we have, let some of those stakeholder boys and girls sitting over here can speak to these gentlemen and come forward with their suggestions or their apprehensions or their observations or even queries. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your inspiring address. May I request all dignitaries to kindly remain on the stage for a photo session.
Hello. You can ask somebody to talk. You didn't listen to my speech. Like a good compeer.
Sure. Anybody who has any questions that they would like to ask from the audience?
Questions or observations or anything?
Or observation. Can you give a mic to the speaker?
No, because I think this session is primarily meant for the stakeholders, not for the gentry sitting over here, because we do talking throughout the day. So you come forward and you tell us what is required of us. As I said, it's a new experience for us too. So be honest to each other. We are also learning as much.
Thank you. I think a big round of applause really for, thank you, sir. Blown away by whatever I heard. My question is, I'm a public health nutrition domain person. Dr. Smriti Pahwa, I'm wearing the hat of Director Scale-Up Programs at Arogya World today. The mission is non-communicable disease prevention, diabetes prevention. So my question was, right now, real time, we are in a clinical trial with Indian Council of Medical Research, Chennai, to develop diabetes mobile-based program, which has been tested for last 15 years, but now we are testing it and bringing AI models, and obviously we are building it on OpenAI. As I was listening to BharatGen AI for Bharat by Bharat, wanted to understand, I've taken Rishi's card, but wanted to understand how this integration that you spoke about is being thought about from each citizen's perspective. If I'm a diabetic or I want to know something, how can I interact with BharatGen, and how can organizations like us interact? I'm sure there'll be many more organizations like us. I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. As Dr. Amol showed in his presentation, as an example of collaboration with Amrita Hospital, the principle is co-design. There's lots of bells and whistles in the entire, what we call large language model stack. Because at BharatGen we have understanding of the recipe, we don't give you a black box. We give you a glass box. And that makes co-design possible. You can have frugal innovations, frugal inferencing. And believe me, this is how China has got so far, by co-design. The good thing about BharatGen is academia and industry have got together. Academia and engineers work together. So, madam, you're very happy to hear your question. We'll be happy to work with you.
Ganesh, what they can do is, they would be expected to give their requirement, and then you integrate.
Yes.
In a single sentence, that is what. But when we are dealing with the health sector and the health care, because only yesterday we were using this, for my own learning, I myself also handled that, the tele-robotics. We performed an ultrasound on a patient sitting 12,000 kilometers away through robotics. When you are using it in the health sector, whether it be AI, I think the most important component is ethics. And then somebody told me, now you have this tele-robotic ultrasound, and this is a great remedy for these the unsavory or the inappropriate ultrasonographies happening, leading on to termination of pregnancies for female infanticide, etc. I said, how? If I don't have the ethics, I sit with a robo here, a ma'am sits there, and she taps me on the mobile, look here, when this patient comes, you do the sex determination as well. So ethics will be a very important determinant of how optimally has AI be used in the health sector. And then, of course, the model is told.
I have a question for Professor Ajay Sood. Any advice for our consortium, the academic consortium? Professor Ajay Sood, we are eager to hear from you. Few lines.
Any advice
for the academic consortium?
I think consortium is good if all the players are equally participating and not for the sake of namesake. So I think with each stakeholder, they should be able to identify what are they proud of in totality, of course, but also what is their skin in the game. So I think every member of the stakeholder consortium should have a skin in the game and should also bring new opportunities which this model can bring up. So it should not be top down. It should be like a swarm algorithm where all the players play together to make a swarm. So I think that's why I will think it will succeed.
Sir, myself, Amol Patel, thank you for giving this opportunity, and my suggestion to Honorable Minister, sir. I am from a small village from Madhya Pradesh. I live in a small village, and it's a great privilege to be here. And basically, I am BTech, MTech in Digital Communication and PhD scholar in AI. And I have been working in rural areas since 2014 by forming an NGO. After leaving my government job and all big companies' job, I started my social startup. And I have worked in 2,000 plus villages through our NGO in education, agriculture and health we are working. So at ground level we are working, and now we have our presence in 21 states in India, and we are skilling, re-skilling. So the big challenge is that most of the students are studying in government school in India, more than 55%. So there is a big need to address the education system also through Department of Science and Technology. There are, so my question, suggestion, as sir asked.
No, I think that's well taken. It's already there. You didn't listen to what I said. I said the health and education are important components of the BharatGen targets. It's already there. But of course, it's a dynamic thing. We'll keep on expanding.
Are there any more questions?
So we'll need to conclude here. The next session is about to start. We just require BharatGen members to come on the stage for a quick photo op with the team. Is that okay?
Consortium and also the entire BharatGen team kindly come up on stage for a photo. Okay. We'll take one more question.
Honorable Minister, Mr. Singh, I am so glad to be here. My name is Alakh Verma, and I'm based in California in the US. Such an eye-opening conference today, and I am also advisor to PwC, representing Cyprus as a country. And last time when I attended CII Summit in Andhra, Vizag, it was a discussion of shipping maritime collaboration between India and global
Most of
South.
us are using this opportunity to give our own profile.
No. The question is...
I didn't give mine. So let's give the observation which can be shared by others.
Question is how the maritime shipping can be integrated with the AI from India to global South.
So you can continue with the question probably offline, as we have the next session speakers waiting.
This year was very thoughtfully kept. The AI-driven option. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir, can I ask a question, please?